Welcome to the Inspired Action Podcast. This is where we have motivational, inspiring conversations and interviews that we hope you will enjoy listening to. If you're interested in creating more balance in your life, understanding your 5-element energetic nature, finding the path of greatest ease,
or releasing the baggage of this lifetime and discovering ancient alchemy that can help you fly in your life, join us and other inspired actioneers on this alchemical transformational journey.
Welcome back to the Inspired Action Podcast. My name is Jay, and I'm here with my co-host, Lita Herman.
Hello, everyone. Today's episode is going to take what we've done with the 5 elements in the last 5 podcasts and help you put it all together.
Yes, this is pod 17, and we're calling this Who's on First, What's on Second? And what does that exactly mean, Lita?
Well, today is about the second element in your stack up of elements.
So we've been working on the first through our last 3 episodes. So we're going to try to help people go with their second. So this is one of the most important episodes on the 5 elements, because even though we had fun kind of jesting with all, describing all the elements with the challenges and the beautiful qualities and us making a little bit of fun, because, we have all 5 in us, so we can do that. But you still may be wondering what elements what elements are you? And what does that really mean?
Because you have your own special brand of elemental energy.
But what does that mean?
Well, you're not just one element. You have all 5 elemental energies within you.
So,
and
is that the big question?
What question?
What is the big question?
What is the big question? I don't know.
I don't know. So what is it? So what is it? What does it really mean? What is the big question? What do we need to do about this?
What we really need to know is it's important what order those energies are in.
Okay.
What elements they're in. And the most important one is your first, of course, which is why we spent
That's who's
so
on
much
first.
time. Who's on first?
So what's on second?
What's on second is the one that's going to rescue you.
Okay.
Your rescue element is your second element.
So are you fire, wood, water, earth, metal? Are you water, earth, fire, wood? Like, what's the stack up? And then so you as a listener have to figure out, if you want to figure this out, what is your first? What is your second? Wait till the next episode to even worry about your third.
Yes.
So think about this as the Oreo sandwich show, and this is the middle.
Yes.
This is the filling. This is the second one.
And so we want to help you understand how the second and third elements really work. And today we're going to talk about the second. And you can think of it as the second is what flavor of ice cream are you?
Okay, so forget the Oreo thing. Let's go with ice cream.
But it could be Oreo ice cream.
Oreo cookie ice cream, but make sure it's keto. But okay, let's go. So, all right. So your second element is the flavor. So what flavor of ice cream are you?
Exactly. And so if you, and by the way, the third would be like your sprinkles on top or the, marshmallows inside or
maybe the gummy bear.
The gummy bear.
The one thing. Okay.
If that's the kind of person you are, if you're a gummy bear kind of person.
Bears, Rocky Road. What is the Rocky Road? What is the Rocky? What is the road? So, okay. So first is your main flavor. The second, is it like a second scoop?
Well, I think of the first is ice cream.
Okay.
The second is the flavor of the ice cream. And the third is what kind of like addendums do you put on it? What kind
or
of
hide inside of it.
Accoutrement do you like?
So now you're making me hungry, but we know we really can't eat ice cream. Why can't we eat ice cream?
Well, we are both doing the ketogenic
keto diet.
But people don't know what keto ice cream is.
And we have not really found the perfect keto ice cream.
No, we have to make it ourselves.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to make it. So, maybe someday in the very near future, we'll do a show on keto or the ketogenic diet. I think for me personally, I've never felt more in control of what I put into my body for fuel than ever. We've been on this for a while, both of us. I think clearer, I feel lighter, lost a ton of weight. So yeah, we really should do a show on keto.
Yeah. And I think, interestingly, since this show is about alchemy, the alchemists were ketogenic.
I think
essentially.
So. I think so. They gave away all the things. I mean, we have a modern diet now, which is pretty much crap. And so if you think back to, the alchemists a long time ago, but them giving up grains was big.
Because in China, everyone ate rice.
Yeah. So, all right. So put that on your notes. Look out for a keto diet episode soon.
Yes.
Okay. So, but for today, let's go back to the elements. Why do we care which elements we are? What are the practical applications? We've talked about this many, many times. Why do we want to understand this?
Well, I thought it'd be best. It's always been hard to explain to people why they need to know about the 5 elements until they start knowing it. And then they go, wow, now I really want to know everything.
Yeah, I was like, why aren't they teaching this in school?
Yeah, exactly.
Why are we not learning about this? Boy, we would all communicate so much better with each other.
Yes. And so I thought it'd be best to tell you about myself, because that's a great example, very personal example. So understanding the 5 elements in myself has been my number one growing edge for me in my life. Once I started to understand that I was fire, which is my main element,
Fire,
my first element, much of my life began to make sense. Why I cared so much about whether people liked me, why my relationships were so important in my life. And then I began to see the nuances in that I'm not just a generic fire. We aren't all the same. And then I'm fire, and then water second, and finally earth third. And once I realized how the second and third works, I am not kidding you, it changed my life entirely. And I completely also healed myself.
Okay, so I know that was a long thing there, but you're going to have to keep going. I want to know, you need to explain it more.
Okay. So fire's my first.
Yep.
And ideally my nature is friendly and outgoing, but my second element is water, which controls fire.
And water douses fire, puts it out.
Yeah. And so every time my fire made me move out into the world, my water self pulled me back, and it was really painful.
Does not sound like fun.
No, it wasn't fun. And I was like one of those gophers constantly poking my head out to see if anyone was looking. And then the second someone looked, I disappear.
It's like whack-a-mole, not a gopher, whack-a-mole.
That's it, whack-a-mole.
Head out, whack. Don't get ducked back inside. Head out, whack.
Except I was whacking my own head.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's
really
great. So it's
painful.
the whacking mole syndrome.
So once I figured out that, and honestly, I was getting sick from all of this. I mean, this takes a toll on you after a while.
Sure.
Once I figured out that the constant tension between my fire and water was causing me all this grief, I was able to shift it. So I started to see that I could let my fire be big and out in the world. And instead of using my water to make me feel shy and shut down, I could use the water positively as an energy generator, which is what the water element is, so that I could have enough energy to do everything my fire wanted to do, which was a lot.
Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit in a few minutes about how water does really push and get things done.
Yeah. We're going to explain how water with any element, the second, if it's water, what that means. And so anyway, but then I had to figure out what my third was in my life. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow.
Sure. And the fourth and the fifth elements are really only important that they don't really matter much. So it's like they're important because they're not important. They're not good or bad. Sometimes they can feel like, maybe like a foreign country or a foreign language, especially if you're out and out, if you go out and you're hanging out with people who are your fourth or fifth element, you might just not get them.
You just don't fit in.
Yeah. You don't understand. You don't fit in. So that's when you need to work on all of your 5 elements, which is also something we're going to touch on later.
Yes. And for me, I used to run away from woods because they scared me. I know. Wood is my last element. And now that I understand wood and celebrate it, most of my friends are wood, including you, Jay, or they have wood in their top 1 or 2 elements, because I really dig wood now and I totally get it. And there are a lot of wood wannabes out there, and I can see why.
Yes, wood wannabes. But I'm glad to hear that you starting to like the wood people. I know we're not always easy to understand. I was beginning to worry that you didn't like us, but no, there is a lot of people out there who don't get wood. They knock wood. Knock wood. I had to do that. Sorry. knock wood. So okay, that's cool. So, and I think that if you have the elements that are 4th and 5th, that's a good way to look at it, because by hanging out with wood people, you will start to understand them more. So if you have wood 4th or 5th and you're hanging out with them, you'll see more, you'll pick up more, you'll understand more, you'll get the dialogue, you'll get the way they see the world, and that'll help you.
And you won't be intimidated by them, because they don't want to be intimidated. That's the last thing in the world that they
marshmallows.
Want. Yeah. And then other people who don't understand wood think they are.
Yeah. So that's great.
And so you and I both know that all elements are perfect, just as they are.
That's a really good point, because when we make a lot of fun and we're jesting, we want everyone to, celebrate each one of their elements and see the amazing gifts that they have. And, I personally didn't really know how much I loved all of the 5 elements until we wrote the book, The Energy of Love. And the second book we wrote on the 5 elements, Connecting Your Circle. So, if you want to read them, hit us up in a message or an email and we will hook you up with the book, Connecting Your Circle, or we'll point you in the direction how to get Energy of Love. I'm not sure we have any more right now, but they're out and about in the world, so you can definitely find them on Amazon
or whatever.
So I think that for me, as I went through this personally, it's a way to work on your authentic self, unapologetically. Also, know when your element isn't serving you in a particular order. You can draw upon the other elements to help you out. And that's really about connecting your circle.
That's really important. To know when your main element isn't serving you. Like, Jay, if you walked into a library,
which I have been known to do,
you would have to lower your voice because your voice, your authentic wood voice, is loud by nature.
Yes.
So you need to find the metal in you, the part of you that you have. It may not be your first, second, or third, but that part of you can help you be more respectful and quiet in a library.
And it's true. It's easy to tease the wood and the fires and sometimes the water people for being too loud, too boisterous, but that's the way they are. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can celebrate the woods and all the elements for being who they are and recognize that those are the gifts that they have for certain situations. I like to think of all of it like a dial, like turning a knob with 5 channels. Once you understand your energy and you want to communicate or act a certain way with someone, who may be different energetically, you turn your dial, click, click, click into that element, connect on that level. It may be hard at first, but it can be done. And it's so easy and so cool. And, it's not about being fake or phony. It's about connecting with yourself to connect with someone else.
That is a good point. We're never, ever trying to be phony, like trying to just pretend to be metal. We have to find the metal in us. And I always say your greatest gifts can also be your worst nightmares.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
So if you don't understand that the rest of the world isn't like you, then you can get yourself into trouble. So you got to step outside of your own box. And there are 5 elements and everyone's order is different.
And that leads us right up to the next topic, your second element. How cool was that, Lita? You just led us right up to it. So what is your second element?
It's your best friend. It's the one that's going to rescue your butt in the worst situations every time.
Right? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about each element and what it's like as a second element so you can get an idea of what we're actually talking about.
All right. Let's start with wood. So if you have wood as your second element, it's going to make the first element more assertive or like punchy. And so what does that look like? Well, if you are metal first, so, and wood second, that's really going to change the picture we painted as a metal person being sort of quiet.
Yes, definitely.
And so you have this quieter side, but secondarily, you have this louder part of you. And you have this hanging back part, which is the metal. And then you have this pushing forward part, which is the wood.
Yeah, so if you add wood to any of the other 4 elements, it's going to pump you up.
Yes.
Okay, it's going to help you get out of bed in the morning. It's going to want to take on the world. Boom, boom, boom. It's going to push you. It's going to be that little sprout going through the cement. Yes. It's going to, that's the wood. That's the pushing forward of the wood.
Exactly. And you're going to be able to be somewhat assertive when you have to, and you're not going to be satisfied just sitting around. You're going to want to get up and do stuff, accomplish stuff. That's your wood.
So basically what you're saying, Lita, is that when your first element isn't working out in a social situation, you can draw upon your second element to save your butt. So in this case of wood, you could look for the challenges that can be met with the win-win, the best that you can be, benevolent choices, fairness. Those are all qualities of wood.
Exactly. So let's go through the rest of them and we can help you see how they work together. So if you have fire second, it's going to take whatever element you are and make you more smiley, more social, more laughing, and more vulnerable.
Vulnerable. Is that like sensitive?
Yeah, a little sensitive.
A little emotional.
Sometimes I'm very emotional.
But vulnerability, I think, is, I always think about with the second one, like it makes everything a little, more about the heart and emotions.
Yeah. Well, remember, mean people suck. So anyway.
Mean people suck, even if you have it second for fire.
So most of the time, you're still going to be the person you are first. But then there's always that part of you to fall back on your second element. So it's if we can keep picking on metal a little bit, if you're metal and you're fire second, you can try to use love in your challenging situation.
Yes. And actually, we're using metal as an example because they have an amazing sense of humor, but because it's the opposite of wood and fire, which are both very yang, and metal is very yin. So remember we talked about the energy, the yin and the yang and the yin. So here we go. So we really don't want to pick on them too much because they got rapiers, okay? And they like to come after wood people.
Yes, they cut you down.
Yes, they're picking on me.
You're picking on them
yes.
again. No.
So, I like to tease all the elements. I'm an equal opportunity teaser of all, but I can do that because I'm all 5 elements. So I'm really just teasing myself.
Yeah, we all are.
We're all just teasing ourselves.
So if you're metal and you have to be very social at an event, you can do it. You just need to find the fire in yourself and switch to that, and then let your eyes twinkle and make people feel at ease the way fires do. And if it's not completely natural, just remember it's still part of you. You don't have to fake it like some people do who don't have fire in their top 3.
Will the second have a twinkle for fire?
Yes, they'll have a little twinkle. It's not going to be as obvious, and they have to find that part in themselves.
So what if you have earth and then you have fire second? Do they struggle with social?
Oh my God, no. They're the most social.
Most social, yeah.
Yeah, because earth and fire are both so social.
Yeah.
So you put the two together and wow,
That's
you've
really
got
good.
a really social person.
All right, so if you don't have fire or earth in your top 3, social is going to be kind of tricky.
Very. And you'll just be too matter of fact for most people. Like fires and earths will wonder why you don't talk about your feelings.
Feeling. Dun,
Whoa,
dun,
whoa,
dun.
whoa.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So let's compare fire and earth then, since you
What is
brought
this?
that up.
We sing a song every
I know, I don't
podcast
understand
and we
that.
sing
Yeah.
so badly.
Yeah, I know, so badly. I apologize. We should put a disclaimer.
Yes.
I'm so
At
sorry.
the beginning, we're really sorry we sang another song.
We could start a Patreon for singing lessons.
Yes.
Okay, so let's compare fire to earth.
Yeah, if you have earth second, like fire second, it brings a lot of friendliness and sociability, but more in the sense of being a good listener and being caring and helpful. So no matter what your first element is, adding earth to it will make you be more people-oriented, more community-oriented, and also more thoughtful.
Okay, so that's a really good thing because thoughtful is very nice.
Yes.
So if you're thoughtful and kind, which, do you think which is more social, earth, fire, or fire, earth?
They're equally as social, just different. The fire is more about the one-on-one connection and just really wanting to have like a love situation. And the earth is more about friendship.
Okay, so I get that with the earth being second. So if I had earth second with my wood being first, would it be that I'm more like, I wouldn't be so quite, fast rushing to get it done? Would I be more inclined to think out things a bit more, maybe thinking versus acting more quickly? Or would I even second guess myself if I had earth second?
Well, exactly. You have all of the faster elements in your top 3. So you move very fast and go with your gut instincts more than your analytical mind. And your earth is last, I think, right?
I think so.
So, but if you had earth second, you could do both. You could act fast and do gut instinct decisions, but you'd also be able to do the slower analysis of a situation that earth does.
And, maybe that's why, because my earth is last, I'm always a bit reluctant to do certain kinds of get-togethers like potlucks or, anything that's about socially getting together and holding hands, sharing feelings. And you all know my feelings on ponchos.
Yes. So no.
Now you know why, because earth is last for me.
No getting in a circle and kumbayaing for you.
I don't like braiding hair and doing all that.
And
doesn't mean I don't feel it on the inside. Yeah. And I do click into my earth when I have to.
Yes. So that will make someone who's not earth in their top 3 run screaming in the other direction.
Would be me. Yes.
And we had a friend who went to a yoga session recently, and at the end of the session,
she came with us. We begged her to come, and we know that our yoga teacher, who we love, is very touchy-feely, soft and emotional.
Earthy, fire.
Yes. She agreed to come, and we had a really good session, and I kept peeking over and seeing how she was doing, and she was doing great. And I knew the end of the session was going to be
the circle,
the
sharing the feelings.
So then our instructor brought us all in a circle, and she asked us to. She said that you don't have to participate, and we all started talking a little bit, and I was laughing the whole time. because I know I was usually one that checks out, goes to the bathroom, or rumbles around, get some water, or whatever. But for this time, I just had to keep watching and just see her like squirm. Then she shot me a look, shot you a look. Boy, did we hear about it afterwards, huh?
Yeah, and she has Earth Last as well.
Yeah, so she vowed to never come back again, and we're like, no. But no, it was just so worth it. It was funny. It was like we were experimenting elementally on her. So it was really funny. So that's if you have Earth Last, and those kind of things might not be comfortable for you.
Yeah.
So that's like back to that foreign language, that foreign country. Might just not understand why do people want to sit around and talk about feelings and emotions and things like that. Okay. So let's go. So metal.
So if you have metal second, it's going to be that element that brings things down a bit, quiets things down a bit, and in a way that can be very honoring. Like I was at a recent rock concert of the Cowboy Junkies. Okay, it's dating me a little bit. And the main singer is metal. And she had this amazing way of honoring the audience that made us feel really special. She was a master at it.
Yeah, I think metal can be good at that.
So metal is really useful to have as your second in the world, because there are so many times when we need to be respectful. And if that's not in your nature, you just naturally can piss people off, and probably do.
Yeah, definitely. I don't have metal in my top 3, but I've worked really hard to develop those skills. And even though it really did not come naturally for me at first, but I have a reverence and a respect for my metal element and for the people who showed me how to hone it. Here we go. I spent a lot of time with them. I saw how they walked, how they talked, how they dealt with people, how they interacted, those kind of things. And that's how you hone it. You hang out with people who are these elements, and they're really good examples. So, virtual head Val, thank you very much, my metal friends.
And that's a good point. You don't have to have an element in your top to learn how to be that. And you just need to understand that you're not naturally that way.
Yeah.
And then hone it.
And it's lucky because metal, if you're just quiet, that's a lot of it. So being respectful and quiet, it's kind of easy. So, but if you really want to connect it, remember that story that Lita did at the beginning of metal of the leaf leaving the tree.
Yes.
Always think about that when you're trying to be quiet. So it's not just being quiet. Right. It's like respectfully feeling that quietness with every cell of your body there.
And in the last chapter of Connecting Your Circle, we give you a lot of recommendations about how to develop all 5 elements in yourself. And actually, in the next episode, we're going to touch on this again. So, but before that, let's not forget about water.
Water. We never forget about water. We just make them wait and wait. And, little anticipation is good for all of us because we all have water somewhere.
And we always save the best for last.
Yes. So if you have water as your second,
it's going to make you more powerful. So it's not as obvious with wood first, because wood is already really strong. So in Chinese medicine, we say wood is strong and water is powerful.
There's a difference.
Yeah, but those two together, combined, we like to say, well, in the last episode on water, we said, pow, you get quite a powder keg in the world.
Yeah, and we also said that water wood is the most powerful combination.
Yeah, someone's going to get some shit
bleep done. Yeah, so if you want to get some bleep done, water second, you will definitely have that in your favor.
Yes.
And that is Lita has water second, and boy, she can push and push and push and push, and it's a good element to have second if you like to get stuff done.
And just to give an example, if you add water to an earth person, someone who's
earth first, water second.
Yeah. So earth is pretty methodical in nature, and that earth person will be much more spontaneous than other earths and doing a lot more stuff, moving at a faster pace and talking more faster in general. So water, especially as a second element, can really speed up the first and make it more unpredictable.
Okay. So earth and water are opposites on the elemental. So can you tell us a little bit more about opposites?
So elements are compatible or opposite. So we call the opposites the controlling elements in Chinese medicine.
Controlling. Wah, wah, wah. That sounds bad. Is it? Uh-oh.
It is kind of bad.
Whenever you say controlling and opposites, but okay, so let's go a little bit.
If you think about it.
Yeah, if we're trying to understand, who's on first, what's on second, and what the belief is third.
Yes.
There we go. What the belief is third, right?
There you go. That's the title.
You need to know this. Okay, so let's talk about the controlling. controlling.
So it is bad in the sense that metal chops down wood. We
already talked about that a lot. Yes.
So metals are the ones who can really stop wood in their tracks.
And I think wood secretly likes that there's someone out there who
can be bigger than them, basically. Yeah. But wood seems so big, but they can be like children around the metal
like
people.
Toddlers?
Yeah, like toddlers.
They just want to run and hide and cry and poop in the diapers. Why are metals so mean to woods?
They can't help it. And if you're a metal with wood second, guess what? You may have a tendency to be mean to yourself.
Yeah, I can see that. It's a tough elemental stack up, it's endearing in many ways. And, if you think about it and you start to understand it, metal and wood, back to back, it can be tough.
Yeah. And then there's fire and water.
And, back to the water puts out fire.
Yeah. So fire is all smiley, doing tons of stuff. And then water comes along and makes them calm down and stop being so flighty.
And then you have fire melting, metal. It's the meltdown.
The meltdown, right. I like to say fires with all their smiling, lovable energy. They make that hard metal exterior melt.
Yeah.
And they can't help but open up. The metals can't help but open up and start talking to the fires when they're really pouring the charm on.
Certainly. So what else is it? Oh, yeah, wait. Wood and earth. So wood grows on top of earth. Let's talk about that.
Yes. And it looks more like, hurry up already. Let's get growing.
There you go. I do think that wood, earth, and earth, wood can also be challenging on many levels.
Well, think about it. Earth thinks that wood people are exhausting. So if you're earth and wood is your second, you're exhausting yourself.
And I've had many earth people say, oh, you move so fast. Wait. Let me think about it. Yeah. And that's just hard for wood people sometimes to do. And so, earth, keep going on with the earth. Earth controls the water. It makes the water slow down and predictable. And what happens if you put earth with water?
You get mud.
Yeah, and can you move in the mud? No, you're stuck in the mud. You get mud all over yourself. It's like a mud bath. That does not sound like fun.
Or you're trying to move like you're moving through quicksand.
Okay, so let's go back. If you're trying to move through mud, that's mud wrestling.
Mud wrestling, right. That's your life.
So that could be your life, mud wrestling.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think that it doesn't always come out like that with an earth-water person. They tend to really be energized.
Sure.
But I think with a water earth person, that can really be what happens. It's a slow down thing.
Lita, let's talk about this a little further. Your fire and then your second is water. So it puts out the fire. How does that work? Because I know you get a lot of stuff done and you're a very happy person. And so let's just enlighten us how fire and water can work really well together.
Well, at the beginning, I told you the story about how difficult it was for me to have fire and then water because the water kept causing me a lot of problems. So as a child and a teen, it brought me great social anxiety. The fire part wanted to go out and be really social. The water part made me extremely nervous about that. So a lot of waters tend to only have a couple really close friends. And I wanted to be friends with everyone.
So you had this kind of constant push me, pull you kind of inside of you, like the llama in Dr. Dolittle.
Yes.
That cute little llama. Push me, pull you. Yes, I love that llama.
I was totally a push me, pull you.
Okay, so that llama was fire, water.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So what you're saying is that llama, push me, pull you would have a tough time in high school.
Oh, yeah, I did. That was me. That was definitely.
So you wanted to be popular. You worked really hard at it, but it never really felt easy?
Yeah.
All right, so how do you reconcile the push me pull yous?
Well, as I said before, I had to realize that I was shutting myself down, and I began to see that water gave me the power and stamina to do all the things I wanted to do.
Definitely.
And I made friends with my water element instead of it being my internal enemy. And I've never looked back, and I don't let it cause me anxiety anymore. I use it to fuel all the power I need to go out in the world and teach, make lots of friends, and treat people in my clinic. So it's a great asset.
Are most people completely unconscious about this? Like how they act and how other people act and how they react?
Yes. And what I want to think about is this is all about judgmentalness. Understanding the 5 elements allows you to begin to accept who you are and who the people around you are.
You start to really love all the components in your elemental stack up, so to speak.
And if you can accept yourself or accept your partner or your children or your parents because they have the gifts that you can recognize in them, you can also forgive them for the things that aren't perfect about them because that's their energy. Yeah. They can't help it. They don't have the consciousness to try to be all 5 elements in themselves.
That's a good practical application. Is communication. I always think that's a really good way to think about it. You'll be a better communicator with yourself and those around you.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean,
I do see it a lot in my coaching.
Yeah. And we've gone into businesses and helped them with their communications and their
relationships,
teamwork.
couple relationships.
Yes. And then I do a lot of 5 element couples coaching. And it's a really great way to stop being judgmental and to think your way is the only way.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that as we go on to the next episode, the next pod, we're going to talk about the 3rd element. So stay with us, everybody. It's all about the big 3. So it's going to be who's on first, what's on second, and what the bleep is on third.
Right.
And why it even matters. Who knows? We don't even know why it's going to matter. For right now, let's, get you thinking about your second. For your homework, listen to the previous 5 podcasts or take a look at the Connecting Your Circle book, the free download in the show notes. And it was from another episode that we did.
I think episode 2.
I think pod 2, but you can still listen to the last 5 and see the elements. Then think about if you think you're wood first, then you're starting to think some of the other things and how they go hand in hand and why you do the things that you do.
And when you're using your first element, and when do you use your second element? So do a lot of looking at yourself. Do you have a lot of self-judgment about your first or second elements? Do you beat yourself up because you're too blank, blank, blank? I mean,
and then you can go out in the world and stop playing with those 2 energies and really kind of seeing, which is your first, how to use your second, do you turn on the fire charm when you have to, do you use that wood to get you through something kind of tough? Or like you just said, do you beat yourself up?
Right. Can you drop that judgment and begin to see how amazing you are because you have those 2 energies, and how could they work to your benefit? Yeah.
I think so. That's your homework. I'm working on the first 2. By the next podcast, we're going to talk about the 3rd. And, we're really excited about this new thing, this new idea we had about getting some feedback from the listeners. We really want to hear from you. We get a lot of, DMs and we get a lot of emails, and it's kind of like people want to talk to us privately, and we want to bring it out into the social media, and share these experiences. So we've had this idea. We want to have like a voice-to-voice exchange. So we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the show. Keep them coming because we love it, love it, love it. Because remember, what inspires you inspires us.
So yeah, and we would recommend that you record a voice memo.
Yes, it's super easy.
On your iPhone, there's a voice memo app, or on your Android, they have something similar. And you record a voice memo and then just email it to us at info@inspiredactionpodcast.com, or Lita at Inspired Action Podcast, or Jay at Inspired Action Podcast.
Yeah, we're not picky, and you could talk about whatever you want. Just, it'd be great if it was on the 5 elements or alchemy. But right now, we just want to connect. We're getting all these little people connecting, and we'd like to kind of see if we can maybe put something together and get some dialogues going.
And Jay, I'd love to hear any stories that you have about these first 2 elements specifically.
Yeah. Challenges, triumphs. We want to hear it all.
Yeah, and if you have something that we might want to share with other people that might help them learn, that would be great.
We have people listening from all over the world. It blows us away that they're finding this little podcast. We love the support. We love the feedback. We love the happy listeners. Just keep it coming.
Yeah. And okay, since we are doing the Listener Love Fest.
Listener Love Fest.
Let's ask for a little bit more. We need to ask you a favor.
Okay, so more.
Yes. Can you go to iTunes
right now?
Hopefully you're in it already, but maybe
the show is almost over.
And if you're on iTunes in particular, because Android doesn't have this, if you subscribe, that's free, by the way. It just means that you're going to have it in your library.
You don't have to buy anything. It's free.
And then there's a little 5-star rating. So hopefully you can rate us positively, and please write a review. I can't stress this enough. It really helps us.
Yeah. The more listeners, the more you help, the more listeners we can find. And then we can all keep talking about these really cool things and help us spread the Inspired Action Podcast.
Because iTunes will make recommendations for other people to listen to us
so
when
if you
write
say
a review.
that you dig it, then they'll be like, oh, people like you.
Yes.
Then they'll get it, and then they can dig it too.
Yes.
Okay. So,
and also just to remind you, we have a website where we have all of our show notes and all the links.
Lita, what is that website?
It's inspiredactionpodcast.com. And a listener told me recently they didn't know it was there and that it had all the links.
I know they were writing it all down, and we're like, wait, you don't write anything down. It's right in the show notes.
They would like re-listen to the podcast, writing everything down. No, you just go to the website. Everything's there.
And also, we love to if you share, if you see us on Facebook or Twitter or anything like that, share it with your friends, and we'll all just have one big happy listener love fest.
Yes, please share. Any way you can tell your friends about the podcast, that would be great too.
Okay, excellent. All right, thank you very much. And next is up is what the belief is on third.
Yes.
All right, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to the Inspired Action Podcast. You can follow our Inspired Actions on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
If you haven't yet, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. If you have already, thank you so much. We read all reviews and really appreciate your input. Join us next week for another Inspired Action conversation. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to hug the dog.